So we want to be able to see the salmon stuff, and we want to be able to see this gray stuff here, so we can start to see things disappear. So I'm going to pretend that this is really what I want for a layout, and I'm going to go in here, pull up my info panel. I want to make sure I'm in pixels, and I see that I have a top padding of 12 pixels and a left padding of 7, and I'm going to assume that that's the same for the right. So 12 and 7. So I'll go over to the thing, the wrapper rule, that it has that salmon color, and go up here and do a top padding of 12 and a left and a right of 7. And I'll go ahead and apply a bottom padding too, so that there's always a little bit of that color showing through. And now, let me just show you something here. Just so you know, Dreamweaver, padding top, right, bottom, left, this is excessive code. And a lot of times Dreamweaver does a really nice job of simplifying things. This is not one of those times. So I'm going to show you the shortcut way of doing this. Remember, we've talked about top, right, bottom, left. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go back and watch the previous videos and watch and do the reading. But here I have a top padding of 12 pixels, right padding of 7 pixels, and then the shortcut here, because that's all the settings I have, is 12 top, right, 7, and then what the browser says is, or asks, we'll get rid of all this, is, well, what about the bottom and what about the left? Well, if you go clockwise, top, right, bottom, left. So it'll go 12, 7, 12, 7. If I really wanted to spec it out all the way, I certainly could. Now it's top, right, bottom, left. But if top and bottom are the same and left and right are the same, you can get away with it being that short. Okay, so we have all that, and oh, I'm sorry, just close that on you. All right, so let's preview in browser now. Now we have a centered layout and we have some space, so we can see we've got that salmon stuff around there. Now we're going to have a little bit of padding as well in these art in the sections. So we've got a height of 11 and a width of 11, and we're going to say that that's perfect. So we're going to take this this section with an ID of example box, that in our layout, our section is this light gray area, and it has an ID of example box. So we're going to go to box and we're going to say, okay, let's give you top right, bottom left of, oops, same for all, 11. Now Dreamweaver does do this right. When it's same for all, it just does the one padding, and the browser knows if it's just one setting, it does the same to all 4 sides. So now we have a little bit of padding, so instead of it closing in on it, we've got a little bit going around there. All right, so that's the first part of our layout. Now we're going to start dealing with these floated articles. And what I said is, if you have something floated and you put something floated inside of it, it will the outer floated thing will see the inner floated thing. So I'm going to work in opposite order here and float my left paragraph and my right image. So just so you can see that this isn't holding them anymore. And to really demonstrate that, I guess I need to give this a color. So I will do that. And the this that I reference is left article and right article. So left article is where I'll start. And I know that I'm going to do the same exact thing to the right article as far as background color, but not floating. I guess I will give them separate rules. I could combine, but we'll go this way with it. So left article, and it goes in main CSS, and it's going to get a background color, pound, and then paste in the color I sampled. And then I have another ID of right article. So I'm just going to do pound right article and copy this. You could combine this into one rule and then you're going to end up with two rules no matter what, which is why I'm not bothering to combine, because this guy will be floated left and this guy will be floated right. So if you wanted to be more universal, you could say pound left article, pound right article, and that would control the background color for both boxes, assuming they're always going to have the same background color. But we don't need to be that fancy with this particular demo. Again, we want, and right now we have articles, you just can't tell that there's two of them because they're the same color. We want to do a little bit of padding in here so we can see when things are actually being contained. So I'm going to say that this is the padding we're going to have for left, top, right, and bottom, and it is 17. Normally you would measure everything super specific, but we'll speed this up for the demo. So I'm going to double click on the left article rule, and what was that number again? 17. I'm going to give all four sides of left article a padding of 17. All four sides of right article a padding of 17. Since they're doing the exact same thing, yes, would you combine a rule for just background color and padding? Potentially you would. But we'll do separate rules for right now. So now we see that padding. Okay. Our next step is to give these paragraphs, there's a paragraph over here and a paragraph over here, give them a background color. So we can actually see them hanging out. I'm sampling, copying, and all paragraphs within this layout are going to have the same background color. So paragraph, background color, apply, okay, save all, and preview in browser. So we went from this to that. Now this image is not sitting in a paragraph, we're just going to have that float. So, but you can see the paragraphs do have a background color. Alright, so the next thing we want to do is to have this paragraph float left and this paragraph float right. Okay, so or that image float right. So I'm going to also say that all paragraphs, and this would probably never be the case, but all paragraphs in my layout float left. So I'm going to go to box and float left, apply. Okay, and this is when things will probably start, because we're trying to get this effect, paragraph float left, image right, and then over here we just have a paragraph. We've chosen to float it left as well in case we want to add something later. So this is when it's all going to get a little goofy. And look at that. So our article is here, and the paragraph is breaking out of, we have two articles and the paragraph is breaking out of one. It's not holding it properly. In order to help with this, let's first let's give this image a float of right, and we're going to pretend that all images in our layout float right, which you would normally never ever have, but this is just a demo, so with one image. So we're going to say image and box and float right. Now how would we get this image to float right and not all the other ones? We would normally give it an ID and or a class, one of the two, and then it would have its own unique properties, which will be demoed in the future.